Welcome to Creating Spaces. I'm your host, Alana Corpus.
And I'm your co-host, David Mall.
And we're here to provide advice and guidance to better understanding your property, giving you construction hacks and ways to sculpt your landscape so that you can create a space that adds value to your home and your life. Over the next 20 minutes, get ready to be inspired, entertained, and walk away with valuable information that is coming from real life situations of real homeowners here in the Greater Bay Area. Right now, we're on the end of winter, stepping into spring, and we are going to be discussing present situations, solutions here in the Alameda County, Contra Costa County. We're in this beautiful studio here in Lafayette and in Sonoma County. So let's get into it.
Yay.
Saturday morning, you're waking up and you open up your curtains and you look out on your back porch, and what do you see? Just furniture, tables and chairs all over the place, leaf litter everywhere, weeds galore, vines crawling on your fence, and you are certain that everyone in the neighborhood's water is like pooling onto your property. So if you recently experienced this situation, then you're in the right place.
Yeah. We're here to help.
Yeah.
We're going to demystify the basic steps to get your chaotic yard into a beautiful and healing space so you can invite your friends and family. February, we've been having incredible rain. We're creating virtual space of information and guidance for homeowners, builders, educators, investors, and community members. And you can show up with your questions and be provided with healthy, holistic answers. Why are we here? Why are we here? How do we end up here? It's just us. It's not live.
No, I was thinking the other day, I was like, something that really gets me excited is making a difference in someone's life. Mm-hmm. So in my business, art garden design, I create like the framework for the spaces, but what David really is skilled at is like fine carpentry, the details and stuff. It's a really nice combination where you like kind of the vision, the overall plan of the space, but you're very like fine-tuned to very fine-tuned carpenter. Combination of our two backgrounds could really be fun and educating experience. Yeah.
And we're both great problem solvers and able to look at a space. And yes, that's right. That's right.
Oh my God. Let's just dive into our topic for today, something that everyone has been talking about and more importantly experiencing, especially today, and that is the weather and how it affects, your property, how it affects the landscape, and what kind of to do.
What has happened on your property during this storm? Well, what is this here? What happened during these storms, and what was the remedy for the problem?
Okay, well, a perfect example is we have a client that we finished to install in the fall of last year. We, we did their patio, we did some retaining walls, landscape, but on the back side of the whole back of the property, there was this beautiful DG pathway, gold fine granite pathway that, wrapped around the landscape and the entire property. And basically the accumulative water of like 4 different properties piled up along her back fence and then spilled onto her property and like eroded the pathways. And what happened was, so when we went out there, we actually went first to the upside neighbor's property and found that he had downspouts that were spilling from the backside of his house onto her property.
Wow.
And then on top of it, there was neighborhood, there was like a waterway, basically a channel behind her back fence. We wanted to create like a culvert behind the fence, but what was there was bamboo roots. It was like
too much work.
80 feet of bamboo roots, and we're like, we can't do that. So what we ended up doing was a really simple solution. We created like a natural swale culvert along the whole front of her fence, and then we put 2 catch basins with gravel and a drainage, so that the water could percolate from all the water that was coming onto our property. We were just like moving it along, and so it didn't spill over onto the onto the pathway and moving it along and off the property, and then putting 2 catch basins, basically a large gravel pit on. And then we got like a couple more storms after we did that work, and
see the results.
Yeah, it didn't. The
right
pathway we had to restore the pathway, but it wasn't fully eroded, and it was only the top layer of the DG, because underneath it was like filter fabric and compacted base rock. So the base rock hadn't eroded; it was just the top part. So that was like a simple remedy, and the main reason was to just actually observe. We had to spend like a day kind of observing and investigating where the water was coming from, like where the water was coming from. And the thing with water is as it accumulates, it's just a massive force. So it's going to find its pathway, and it's going to carve, or it's going to break, it's going to find that little crack.
Path of least resistance.
Yes, path of least resistance
right.
through the pathway. Creating a space for it to move and enter her property, move along the property, and enter off. We were able to mitigate any more future damages. And I said it to my guys. I was like, because we were there for a few days working on it, and I was like, I don't want to come back to this. Like, we have got to solve this problem. Like, we have got to solve this problem. I do not want to wait till another storm. Like, we need to come up with the best solution right now and fix this.
Fix it. And so it's fixed?
Yeah, it's fixed. I mean, we just had rains. Like, we just had a bunch of rains.
Right on. Especially with water, it is incredibly gratifying to be able to see what the problem is, and then fix the problem, and then get to have nature happen, and then it actually worked. Because it's a bummer when it doesn't work, and especially if your yard is eroding away, or or you don't even know where it's coming from. That's the worst. Sometimes it can be subterranean. Drainage
companies, they just want to put in a French drain, and a French drain like definitely helps mitigate water, but sometimes it's not the only answer for that. I don't know if there's something here on this property that you encountered during these past storms, which have basically been 4 months of pouring rain.
We've had a lot of rain. We have some culverts and some drainage waterways that had not been cleared, with some of it. And that is one of the easiest solutions to fixing a drainage problem, is looking to see, did you rake the leaves from the fall? Is there a natural pathway for your water to flow? And we had one particular area. I live on a large piece of property with a bunch of friends, and it's rural, and we had some flooding on our property, which we were able to take care of with sandbags and some clearing. But there was an area down the road from our property that the neighbor had not cleared a drainage grate, and so it was sheeting over the road and washing out the road. And we brought a tractor in. We have a tractor on the property. We got in and tried to dig it out. We couldn't get it out. We had to wait for the rain to stop, because there was easily 2 feet of mud on top of it.
It was like debris.
It was mud.
Okay.
It was mud. It had not been cleared. So that is a thing. Know where your drainages are. If there's a drainage grate or a French drain that's been covered over. I mean, it's amazing. You can have just like a couple handfuls of leaves in the way of your drain, and that will be the problem. And all you have to do is just clear the leaves, and then you actually have fixed the problem. Sometimes it's more complicated, like what you had.
What is your thought on the gutters?
I am a big fan of maintenance on my property, and so I think that the gutter screens are great in one way. But I also like being able to access my gutter leaves. It's a lot messier to do it when it's already rained and you have these gutters that are filled with mud and leaves, and it's not as pleasurable. Yeah. It's just harder to get out of. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, so you would say get in a habit in the fall before the rains come, like in November, October, get on your roof or hire someone to clean the to clean the gutters.
That's right.
But you have to clean your gutter screens. right?
You still have to clean your gutter screens. I mean, that's right. You still have to take care of, you still have to get up there and do that. You're just preventing debris from getting in the gutter. Out to the edge of the sidewalk where the street meets the curb, basically that gutter right there. And if you have trees that are deciduous and you have them filled with debris, it is just great to clear that out. What?
Okay, clear it out. Clean.
If you can't get your mind out of the gutter, at least get your leaves out of the gutter.
We're stepping into spring. Is it too late to step into these preventative measures?
It's never too late. It is never too late. I mean, I do it when the gutters are dry and filled with leaves. I have done many times taking care of my gutters when they're filled with sludgy muck, and it's just not fun. So I prefer to stay on top of it myself. As I said, I live on a very large piece of property. It's too much for me to manage on my own, and so I take care of what I can as best that I can. And tended forest is where I live for the most part. So I prune my trees, which we'll get into another time.
If you have a smaller property, not what David had, if you walk around and everything, an area of your property is really squishy, or there's water, it rained a couple days ago and water still hasn't drained, there's probably a clog or something needs to be put. But it's really important to walk around, take those notes and notice those things, because notice where that pile of soil that had piled up on top of the drain grate. And a drain gate is just like a metal grate. Yeah. Make note of these so that when you do hire a professional to come out there to deal with your drainage, you have your list of the items. You do not want your contractor or your drainage specialist to be the one asking the questions. You want to be the one asking them the questions, because then you can get more efficient answers to what is needed on your property. It's like going to a doctor. You don't want to go to the doctor and say, fix me. You want to go to the doctor and say, I have a stomach ache. I haven't been able to sleep. I've lost, so many pounds. You want to bring as much information, because essentially you're the one who lives there, and it really helps you kind of understand the space. So asking all those questions. And then if the professional does not have those answers or cannot find someone for those answers, then you might want to look to another person.
That's right. It also helps. That's right, exactly. It also helps the professional if you have done your research and they ask you any questions, and maybe you haven't written it down, but you notice something, so that you actually have as much information as you can have about your property.
And there's just cost savings to it. It's more timely, more efficient. You're coming to the table with what you need. Well, that's been really fun. Yeah. Everything about the weather.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I love this time of the year with the rain and everything. It's really fortunate. Sooner than not, we're going to be saying we need more water. So let's not take that for granted. Right. So one of the things, we're coming to the end of winter, early spring. There's some things that we can do to start getting ready for a yard. It's just the overall cleanup, leaf cleanup, cutting back anything that's, if you have gardeners or if you're doing it yourself, cutting back any sort of dead wood, removing old leaves piled up, just cleaning. Most cities, especially here in the Bay Area, Alameda County, Contra Costa County, they allow each property a dump pickup. So I think you can get about 9 feet by 3 feet wide a dump pickup. So any old pots, things that are just in the yard that you have left over the past year or two, just collect those and put those in a pickup, because you need to do the cleanup first in order to be able to create that beautiful space that you want to bring in.
That's right.
And it's going to allow you to make decisions. It's going to allow you to feel good about that space. It's the same thing as interior designer, or what are the closet cleaner people, they always say, in order for me to organize the space, we need to get things out. And the same thing is true with your landscape. And your landscape is more square footage a lot of times than the actual footprint of the house.
Yeah.
So there is just a lot of nooks and crannies where stuff can accumulate, and it's going to make you feel better. And then if you do that every year, if you do that every 2 years, it will save you so much time down the road. Say if you stay somewhere for 30 years, or say if you want to sell the house in 10 years, it's going to make that final cleanup just so much easier, and it will allow you to start really appreciating your space and utilizing it and not looking at it like a junkyard. Something I like to do in my own yard, because I like to collect things and I accumulate materials, is I actually walk around and I take pictures of the property, and and then I look at them and I'm like, oh, that looks really bad. Because when you're used to seeing clutter every single day, it just becomes normal. So you can actually take pictures, and if the picture looks bad, then just remove the bad things in the photo.
Yeah, right. That's great. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Like for this time of March, do your spring pruning, and just clean. Anything that's dead, remove it. Anything that's old, not wanted. I know we like to save like those ceramic pots and saucers and things like that, but if you are not using them and you have not used them for the past 3 years, then
you're probably not going to use them.
Let's go. Yeah. Let's get it out of here.
Yeah, that's right.
So
one thought I had when you were talking about the trees, I just had this thought, especially with the amount of rain that we've been having, is if you have trees that are close to your home, or really close to your home, but you'd mentioned clearing the dead wood, but sometimes when there's been so much moisture in the ground, the tree can begin to die. The roots can get overwhelmed, the tree can get overwhelmed, and it can begin to lean. And you just want to be attentive to the fact that if you have a big tree near your property, to make sure it's not starting to fall into your house. And you may not even notice it. It looks like a healthy tree, but it's just gained so much weight from the water, and it could potentially fall into your house. So.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people experience. Like during this storm, like so many trees fell over.
Yeah.
If a tree fell down, then it almost becomes an opportunity for creating more space with your yard. I got called not too long ago. Someone's oak tree had fallen down, and they were like, okay, well, we've been wanting to re-landscape our yard, so now is the time to do it. Thank God it didn't destroy the structure of the house. But so how would someone be able to identify that?
Well, one is to take measurements.
Oh.
Take measurements, actually measure the distance from a specific spot on the tree trunk to the house, or to a landmark, and just see if that's changed. I would get two axes. It may not be leaning towards the house, but it may be falling along the side of the house, which could still damage it because the tree branches are up top. So the distance from the house, and then the distance in a 90-degree angle in another direction.
And you can also call like a local arborist concerned about the health of your tree. Like, it's good to get those professionals out there.
Yeah.
And get like 2 different opinions, because there are arborists who are just like, let's cut it down. I've encountered that. We do tree work, but mostly for our installs, because back to that same thing of the cleaning, like I really love to prune the trees, remove shrubs, clear the space, and then start designing. It's really hard because like the canopy of the tree, the space, that it encompasses, like sometimes becomes like a focal point for the yard, and you really can't see that until stuff is moved away. I know there's this beautiful like hedge out here, and I know you're like, if we could just remove that.
Please,
there's so many potentials.
It is on its way out. All in due time.
So the message of today is make those observations. Don't be scared of your property. Like walk around it, write if you don't know what it is, just like make a note of it, and keep that as a collection.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to call someone today, but like when you get it together, then you can you get it together.
That's right.
When you get it together.
Right. When you get it together. Take care of the obvious stuff first. The stuff, the junk. It's amazing you can clear an area that you've just ignored for forever, and then has become overgrown with plants, and it's just like in a corner of the yard. You don't even, think about it anymore. But then once you start doing your property inspection, then you realize, oh, well, that is just a bunch of stuff that I haven't looked at in forever, and you can pass it along. And not only do you clear the space, but then you open it up for beautification and your own, wonderful attention on your property. And again, like Alana had said earlier, if you're thinking you're going to sell the house in 5-10 years, you're going to want this to feel good to you too, so that when you sell the house, you're selling a place that you've put your love into.
Yeah. I know, it's really funny. It's like someone paints their house and like does like some remodel fixes to sell the house when they could have like done that 10 years ago and lived in it and had it their way and enjoyed it. And then they're like, oh, I need to sell the house, so I'm going to make it look nice. It's like, do it now do it in pieces.
Do it in manageable pieces. The cleaning, the gutters, the removal of junk, all of that stuff, you can just take care of right away. You don't have to wait. You don't have to get a professional. The stuff that seems trickier, like Alana had said, getting those questions written down. What can I do with this? I notice water puddling. Is that a problem? Certainly pests are an issue. You want to make sure you're not having dead wood leaning against your house, especially if you have a wood construction house, for termites and other little critters.
Don't say the T word.
Yeah.
Don't say the T word. We actually, termites aren't that bad here. I really appreciate about David is just like always hands-on. He is not scared to tackle anything. Demoed his own fireplace, like brick and everything, just by himself. So was that I was really intimidated by construction, by the space. Like it was like, don't want to mess it up. But it's like, you're not going to mess it up. It's like, it's better to explore it, put those questions down and get to know it, because actually then that adds more value to your home. You appreciate it more, and then you're spending more time outside.
Enjoying the spaces.
And problem solving versus just being like, intimidated and just not connected to it, you know.
Your home inside and out is a living, breathing organism, and you are part of that organism, and the way that you relate to it is reflected in the way that it responds to you. And it's a beautiful symbiosis, and it's something that is kind of remarkable that we can live in a space and it can reflect what's happening in our life, where we feel, how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about our environment, and then we feel good about living in our spaces, if that's your goal.
I'm very excited for the next episode. Mentor of mine and well-known landscape architect, contractor, female here. And we are going to ask her questions about just creating spaces, principles of design, and I really, really, really want to dive into water features. We are still in the time of water, and I'm just feeling, I'm feeling the water, and it's sooner than not, it's going to be summer, and it's going to be super dry and hot, and whoever has a bubbling water feature, it just becomes this oasis. Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Remember to click here to subscribe.
Click here to subscribe.
Click here.
Click here. Here on Creating Spaces, we'll be hosting a new profession in the industry. Next episode is going to be landscape architect, as I already said. But the following, we might have a general contractor, a local horticulturalist, a real estate agent, talking about property value, food, table chef, chef to table, avid gardener, and yours truly. My name's Alana Corpus, owner of Art Garden Design, and
David Mall, owner of Life and all that's incredible.
We are so excited to share this information. If you have any questions, please click the link hit subscribe. It's free. All your questions will get answered. Put your questions. I will answer every single one of the questions. If there gets to be too many questions, I will hire someone to answer those questions, because we really want to create this as a space, an open platform for your questions, for educating, for feeling really comfortable with your property, demystifying, and having fun.
Yeah.
Having fun.
That's right.
Yeah, and bringing value to your home, because it's your space, it's your life. Please share how you are creating spaces in your community or backyard. We want to know, we want to connect. I am Alana Corpus.
And I'm David Mall.
We're signing off from our first podcast of Creating Spaces.
Creating Spaces.
Creating
Spaces. Bye.
Bye.